All right, we'll have some people still rolling in, but we'll get us started today here at 12:02. All right, so hello everyone, and welcome to the Expert Insights Foundations of Workplace Resiliency. My name is Eric Dormoh, if you haven't met me already, and I'll be your host for today. I also have my colleague Beth Schaefer here, who will be helping to run any Q&A or chat, and she'll also just be assisting with links as well. So just to point that out. This webinar is brought to you all by the Institute for Professional Development at Metro State University. Um, we use IPD for short. So here at IPD, we deliver customized professional development for employers and individuals in business architecture, public sector supervision, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and other leadership topics. As a reminder, today's webinar will be recorded and available on our website in the next coming weeks. In addition to customized training, here are more offerings from IPD. Please reach out following today's webinar if you have any inquiries or questions on any of our additional offerings. All right, foundations of workplace resiliency. As we all know, the landscape of work is constantly evolving, influenced by a multitude of external forces. This can often lead to stress and uncertainty, but fear not. Today, we're diving into the transformative world of resiliency strategies that not only help you manage that stress, but empower you to thrive amidst change. Get ready to equip yourself with practical tools that can make a real difference in your professional lives. Let's embark on this journey together and discover how you can turn these challenges into opportunities. Before we begin, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. I'm currently the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program Specialist at Metro State University's Institute for Professional Development. I'm originally from the Twin Cities in Minnesota and lived here my entire life. My background is in higher education, where I gained experience in advising, career development, mentorship, and leadership training. In my current role, I've conducted workshops on topics such as cultural humility, DEI essentials, and building credibility in the workplace. So that'll be the lens that I'm coming into today's webinar with. All right, so today's session is designed to give you a practical foundation for building and supporting resilience, both in yourself and within your teams. And we'll start by defining resiliency, explore how it helps with workplace stress, talk about how to support yourself and others, and finally, we'll practice a simple strategy that you can use in real time. So be on the lookout for some engagement today. Again, we'll be utilizing chat if you have any thoughts or questions. Again, feel free to utilize the Q&A feature or the chat as well, as that should be enabled. So if you have, pen and paper, I know some people might be eating, but just just keep in mind that we'll have some engagement here today. All right, so what is resiliency? Let's start with a shared definition. Resiliency is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's about bouncing back, adapting, and continuing to move forward even when things get hard. Importantly, resilience isn't just an individual trait, it's also a team and organizational asset. We know that being resilient doesn't mean that you'll never struggle, but it's what you'll do when when tough times come. So definitely something to point out when we think about resiliency. So resilient individuals tend to be emotionally aware, optimistic, and open to change. Teams that thrive under pressure share trust, flexibility, and communication. These traits are learnable and they're contagious in a positive culture. So again, these are just some traits of resilient people and teams. So let's check in. How would you rate your own resilience at work right now? On a scale from 1 to 5, I'll activate this poll. And for those that are, want to share why they chose a number, feel free to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and launch that poll again. You can choose that rating 1 through 5, and once you um, once you do that, feel free to add in the chat why you chose your rating. All right, we'll give it a little bit more time for till we get full participation. All right, I'll go ahead and share our results. So from what I'm seeing, we got 4 being the most. So that's good. Looks like people are in between managing and bouncing back quickly. So um I would say I'm in that range as well with that. I would say I'm in a 4 range um due to just having a great team culture. So does anyone want to share why they chose their rating? I think the chat should be enabled as well.
Yep, Shelley shared in the chat that they have a return to office mandate that is creating additional stress.
Mm, yeah, that's definitely a big one. Just trying to manage those shifts. Yeah. See Miranda so saying that, a great team, very supportive manager. Thank you all for the contributions in there. All right. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Yeah, wherever you are on that scale, you're not alone, and the goal here is growth, not perfection. All right, so why resiliency matters at work. When people and teams are resilient, they're less likely to burn out and more likely to stay engaged and creative, even during times of uncertainty. I'd like to say that resilience is the bridge between stress and sustainable performance. As we see in the visual here, want to get to the point where we're able to support one another and accomplish different goals, rather than reduce seeing that burnout and that stress. Just to enhance how this occurs in the workplace. Let's acknowledge the reality, right? Modern workplaces are filled with pressure points. It could be, you know, whether it's your workload, conflict, deadlines, staffing shifts. When stress, becomes chronic, it could damage morale, collaboration, and health. And, resilience can help us interrupt that cycle. One example you know, from my experience in higher education is, with caseload shifts, if someone, left the team, right, the bulk of the team would have to, divvy up those additional numbers, which could, add more stress. So there's a lot of different, reasons for it and causes, but we can see here that with that resilience, it can really help to, stand in the gap and having strategies, right, to roll out those different um, changes or strategies that can really help in sustaining that resilience in an organization. So now that we know some of the common stressors, I wanted to give some stats just to put some numbers to things. In recent findings on workplace stress and burnout, a Deloitte survey revealed that 77% of professionals have experienced burnout at work. According to the American Psychological Association, 65% of US workers view their jobs as a significant source of stress, and the World Health Organization reports that 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress, with 54% indicating that this stress impacts their home lives. So again, these statistics highlight the critical issue of workplace stress and its far-reaching effects on both employees and their personal lives. So how can we, build that personal resilience? We can start by practicing self-awareness, right? Noticing your stress triggers and reactions. Another way is, reframing challenges, setting boundaries and building in rest to help you stay grounded. It's not just about powering through, it's about recovering smartly. One example for I would say for myself, right? When I notice I'm getting stressed, I take time to watch something funny, to laugh. Or one thing that helps me out is to journal at the end of each day. Um, Again, just some different routines to help me manage different stressors, whether that's during the workday or even, external factors as well. It's good to have different strategies to really level set um, and build that personal resilience. So resilience isn't a solo mission. You can help build it in others by listening actively, validating their challenges and celebrating even small progress. This creates psychological safety, and safety is one of the foundations of team resilience. One thing that or one example is that, when there is an external issue that might be affecting your team, you may, send a thoughtful message and, give your team time to process by maybe extending a deadline or taking something off someone's plate. Um, we had a current example even on our team where we had an external piece and there was just messages with support, right? So even little things like that, being able to practice that empathy and just show that support can really help build that resilience within your team by just doing something as simple as sending an email of support. So for those that, may be in leadership roles, as a leader, your behavior sets the tone. When you model emotional regulation, learning from failure, and healthy work-life boundaries, others will follow. Also, teams that are allowed to reflect and learn together grow stronger after challenges. So, this can be, modeling work-life balance by, being mindful of, sending emails after hours or while on vacation. Um, and also, sharing that and making those around you feel comfortable in naming, right? That there's not the expectation, to check emails or to be worrying about, different work issues while you're on vacation. So really setting that tone as the leader of your team can really help in just exemplifying the leadership within your team and being able to show practical ways to do so. And just for engagement purposes, does anyone have any examples that they want to share in the chat of how their leadership shows that team resilience through any of these categories? Give some thinking time and we can put those in the chat. So thanks, Mary Kay. Celebrating learnings from failure, strive for excellence, not perfection. Fail often to succeed sooner. Some of our mantras. Awesome. And Sarah says, my team does a lot of problem sharing and it's really helpful. We all have stuff going on. Yeah. And those are some great examples of, being able to have that vulnerability. Awesome. Well, as those roll in, Beth, you can let me know if there's any other contributions in there. So let me introduce a practical tool that you all can use, and this will be some time for engagement if you have a pen and paper, or if you just want to, you know, do this just in reflection as well. But So these are the four R's framework. So the first one in the step is to recognize your response to stress. The second one is reframing your thinking. The third is responding with intentional action. And the fourth is recovering with rest or reflection. So again, this model can help you slow down and shift from reaction to resilience. And I'll give some specific examples as we go through our activity as well. So now I'd love for you all to we're gonna try this together. I'd love for you all to think of a recent workplace challenge, asking yourself, what did I recognize about my thoughts or feelings? How could I reframe that situation? What action I could take that aligns with my values? And what do I need to do to fully recover from it? So we can take the next few minutes or so for you all to reflect and write these down. And I can give an example just to as you all are pondering. So one example or a challenge might be, you're navigating a shift to a new HR software. An initial reaction might be, negative feelings, right? You might be wondering, you know, why are we changing this? And you might like how things are. So, you might be aware of that natural reaction. So how you might reframe this is, saying that you have an opportunity to grow, right, by learning a new system. So that could be a way to reframe it, or it could be just leaning into the new change of seeing, what the pros might be of this new software. An action that you might take to respond is, you might attend informal or you might attend informational sessions, right, on this new software, or you might, rally the team together to really embrace this change. An example of a recovery might be that, you might take note of this experience, you might reflect or even journal just how you're navigating this challenge. So that could be a practical way to go about the challenge. But let's give you all some time to reflect on this before we come back. So let's say give you all about 3 to 4 minutes just to put some quick answers down, and we'll come back together to maybe discuss how this went. And if anyone would love to share once we come back, that'd be great as well. So let's say about 12:24. We'll come back and see you all's thoughts here. So we have a few thumbs up rolling in. Can let's give another 2 minutes or so, and then if anyone would love to share, they can maybe post their challenge. I'm in the chat, or I could also raise someone up if they wanted to talk about what they pondered on. Either one will work for us. So if you want to maybe add some things that you pondered on with the challenge, if you're open to that. Um, and then there should be a way to raise your hand if you wanted to, come up and talk about it. But we'll we'll look into the chat for now, unless Beth, if you see anyone that is trying to raise up. So, or Beth, did you have a challenge you wanted to speak on?
Looks like Miranda has added one for you.
Awesome. So, so Miranda says, after creating a presentation for an event, looking at the content I created overlaps significantly with another presenter, and I had to redo everything with a short timeline. I recognized I was frustrated and worked through those feelings, reframed it as an opportunity to give participants a chance to go deeper. Awesome, Miranda. That's a really good example, especially with the, a short timeline, being able to process that and reframe it. Thank you for that. Awesome. Well, Beth, if you catch any other ones, I'll take some time to read that off as well. But again, this can be a pretty practical tool that you all can use. And love to hear some success stories of these as you share it with your teams as well.
Laura has added one for you.
Oh, thank you. So Laura, the challenge, lack of clarity around team roles, which can be difficult to navigate under deadlines. Recognize frustration about how to proceed, reframe opportunity to take the lead, respond what I can offer and how. Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, definitely yeah, navigating team roles can definitely be a tough thing to navigate. So it's good to see that you're able to reframe that. Awesome, Julie. Awesome. Offered an ear, virtual hugs, and emotional support. These are great. I think it just shows how vital, even offering that listening ear can be um in managing challenges. So with so when we think about again just creating a resilient workplace culture, organizational resilience is built by consistently practicing these ideas at scale. This can be, from onboarding to team check-ins, building in space to talk about setbacks, support, and recovery. It's not about avoiding stress, it's about creating the conditions to grow through it together. I know one thing that we do with at our team with IPD to create a resilient workplace is through check-ins. And one thing that we do, credit to Beth, is listing our positive nuggets during team meetings. So these are just, our wins that we have, our positive things, whether that's with our personal lives, and also work related. And I'll say also, we're just encouraging each other to, build networks outside of our team as well. I know I found a lot of great groups, support groups outside of my department, collaborating with other departments here at Metro State, being able to just have that wider network, right? So I think these are some key ways to, create that workplace culture and being able to really rally the team together. So again, it's all about building that organizational culture to foster that resilience in the workplace. All right, so I know we've covered a decent amount today, and just as a recap, we defined resilience, explored how it reduces stress and boosts collaboration. I will learn how to support yourself and others, and practice a simple 4 R's framework that now you have tools to take back to your teams. Just as a kind of reflection of what we covered. I'd love for y'all to just reflect on one action that maybe you'll start doing, something that you may discontinue, or something that you want to continue to improve resilience in the workplace. Um, would love for everyone to just post one thing in the chat as we're pondering on some of these resiliency tools. So I'll give you all some time to reflect and just posting one thing or one takeaway through this stop, start, continue method. And I'll try to monitor the chat as well as we're going through. So Beth says I need to do a better job of reframing situations to be positive or opportunities. Arbidelis is suggesting we share wins during team meetings, make this a practice. So Nancy, offering support and mentoring when someone needs your help from a historical perspective, and you can sense their stress. Don't add to the stress, be present and supportive. Yeah, well, being present is definitely key. With everything, with so much going on, it can be easy to be, kind of thinking externally, but just kind of, planting where we're at can definitely help in that support. So I can definitely see that. Mary Kay, continuing to check in with staff in one-on-one meetings and sending check-in messages. Yeah, those one-to-ones definitely helpful. Just, whether it's just checking in on your team, managing different projects or just time to even get to know your team, uh, can just do a world of difference. One thing, like I'll give Beth her flowers. One thing we try to do is just, catch up and you know, we relate with sports, right? So we'll talk about sports before we get into all the big business of the meeting. So something light to start off, and then getting into what we have to take care of. So shout out to Beth on that. All right. Yeah, Laura says asking more questions and making fewer assumptions. Oh, scroll up. Actively listening and asking if support is needed with staff. Yeah, that's important too. Being able to really ask what's needed. Nancy says understanding the difference between check-ins versus micromanaging. Yeah, building self-confidence as they learn to lead up. Shelly says there's a collective resistance to the mandated RTO, but trying to see it as an increased opportunity for networking and collaborations. Well, Shelly, that's a great reframe. I know even with those car rides, like being able to listen to your favorite podcasts, that could be a reframing, with the car rides as well. Awesome. I really appreciate the engagement within the chat. Just a few more items, so please stay with me here. So again, just wanted to take some time to highlight some of our offerings brought to you by our DEI website that we added. Beth, if you could put add the link to the chat. Um, again, for those that may be looking for different training, we provide different offerings. Um, they would love for y'all to check out if you haven't already. So we'll have yeah, Beth put that in the chat. Thank you very much. So again, there's also the inquiry form if there's specific trainings that you might be interested in. We'd love to help you also support you all in that. And another big piece that I wanted to share today. Um, So this Expert Insights is actually a launching pad for our Resiliency subscription site that will be launching this fall. So thank you all for, you know, being a part of this launching pad. With this Resiliency subscription, we'll be offering articles, trainings, webinars, and other resources that are essential components, to fostering cohesive organizational culture. So please stay tuned to be on the lookout for our resiliency subscription that we'll be sharing out with you all. And then lastly, if you all could do me a favor and we actually have a survey from today's webinar. So Beth, if you could put that in the chat as well. Love for you also take some time just to quickly answer a few of these questions. It shouldn't take too long. Um, let me see. Okay, yep. So it shouldn't take too long, but this is definitely great information for us as we move forward, right? As we're trying to launch this subscription. Love for y'all to take some time to fill that out. Beth, I see you unmuted. Did you have any?
Yeah, I just want to say that the survey is focused on what their resiliency needs are so that we provide the right resources for them
Yeah.
in the new website.
Yes. Thank you for that, Beth. So yes, take some time to fill that out. That'll be greatly appreciated. And just as we're in closing, I would just like to say thank you all for being a part of this conversation. Again, this webinar is recorded and will be available on our IPD website in the next few weeks. So as you all are filling out your survey, again, please help us to improve and let us know, what's needed next. Um, but in closing, I'd just like to say, thank you for attending this Expert Insights. Stay resilient and stay connected. And I'll be on here as well if there was any questions or any key takeaways or last thoughts that you all would love to share. Beth and I will be on here. And just want to say thank you all again and hoping you all can just stay resilient. I know there's a lot of change and a lot of things going on. But hopefully some of these tools you all can use practically in your own teams.